And what's this? This is one.
That's his recent newsletter. Apparently, they paid $150,000 for it.
Really?
Using money from the Department of Health. So, in here, it kind of talks, and the reason why this is unethical is because it says Nygren News as opposed to Office of the President, Vice President, or Navajo Nation News. So what it's essentially saying is that he's putting his personal interest, Boo Nygren, above the Navajo people. You know, whether it's the Office of the President or if it's the Navajo Nation. So in here, all of this is just basically press releases over that he has completed over the years. Nothing new. No news out of here. Talking about his initiatives and trying to boast himself.
Stuff that's important to the public.
Yeah, stuff that he's trying to say that he's basically running his campaign and saying he's completing his jobs. He had 1,000 home initiatives, and out of year one, he only built 6 homes out of the first year. And they're not even having homes from Zinni Homes, they're building homes from somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
So, good morning. My name's Greg Bigman. I'm one of the petition carriers for the Recall Boo Nygren. We only have about 8 petition carriers that are helping to grab signatures across the Navajo Nation. So the reason why we're doing this initiative to recall is because of 3 main reasons. One is called fiduciary duty, meaning as a leader, is he spending the money in the people's interests? The clear answer is no. The reason why is because what council reported is that they're taking money from all the services across Navajo, whether it'll be senior centers, the police station, or even the roads. And what they're doing is they're transferring that money from those departments into the president's office. And they're using that money, you know, for hosting events, for traveling, and buying campaign material, such as this one. This is a campaign material. It's unethical to use government funds to campaign on the Navajo Nation, you know, to pursue one person's self-interest.
Can you kind of explain to the people what funds came in use for this here?
This is spent from Department of Health. And so when council talked about it last year, $8.2 million in budget transfers, you know, all to promote the self-interest. It's unethical. The other thing that they're doing is they're finding ways to abuse the procurement code. One example is the insurance. They had essentially a $30 million RFP that went out into the community, and they advertised it for 4 days. So what they were trying to do was they were trying to eliminate everybody that could possibly submit a bid in order for them to give a bid to somebody they already wanted to give the money to. So they're working backwards in order to find ways to abuse the system is essentially what it is. And another thing that council reported was how they were abusing the sole source system. So they find ways and they call people specialists that have essentially no experience with what they're doing, but they find ways to give them contracts. So that way they can say it's a proper approval of the money. The other one is what is called neglect of duty. He's required by law to go to council session, missed 3 of the 8 sessions, and the last one walked out 5 minutes into his presentation. And the last reason why we're asking for the public to sign the recall is because the misconduct that's happening in the office. In his first year of office in November, the Navajo Times came out with a 6-part series talking about why the misconduct that's happening with the Nygren administration. They talked about a young receptionist being sexually harassed. They talked about the abuse with P cards. Now noted, prior presidents have been removed because of the abuse of the P cards, yet nothing has happened since. And they also talked about the toxic environment that was happening in that environment, you know, the hostility, and so it continues on to this day. And that's what our third claim is that the misconduct that's happening by his or his appointees, you know, with harassment, nepotism, bullying, and disrespect. So the recall is open for 1 more day to get signatures. You can visit our Facebook page on Recall the Navajo Nation President, Boo Nygren, or you can also visit bamboozle.com. And we thank you guys for your support. Please spread the word. And also let your officials know, whether it's at the chapter or a council delegate, that you like to see accountability. Every year when election season comes up, people talk about accountability, how they're going to be accountable to the Navajo people. This is the time for people to have their voice be heard and let their officials know that they want to see a better community, a better government, a government that works for their people. So thank you.
Yeah. Redress and petition your government. Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what my channel is about. It's about transparency and accountability. And what I do is I take public tours into government funded public buildings,
Yep.
and try to keep our public officials accountable and transparent also.
So there's some things that are very clear now that need to happen on Navajo. You know, when we think about transparency and accountability, one is that there should be a base budget that is given to all departments to make sure government services are distributed to the people. One is that it should be distributed fairly, you know, in the most equitable possible way possible. But the other one is we got to make sure government operates for the interests of the people, not just a select few, but everybody abroad. And having policies to make sure that happens, and making sure that the budget is properly appropriate to make sure that happens. So there has to be some type of base budget that's happening, and even making sure that we see development in the communities. And I think one of the big transparency is just to say all the budget across Navajo Nation, we're going to post it. You know, you can look under the state and find out how much a person makes, but on Navajo, we don't see where this money goes. There's no transactions that are possible, and so that part is scary because we don't know how our money is being used. In the chapter, they criticize chapters and they say chapters have no accountability. Yet you can walk into any chapter house and you see where all the money's at. You know, it may not be clear on a detailed general ledger, you know, where the money's at, but at least it's a good standard for the community to see what's going on. And a lot of times in chapters, they'll talk about it. They'll say, oh, we gave money to these people here, this contract, this was approved by the community. But we don't see that with our own government. You know, so we need to see a transparency to where there's fairness across the board where we can see what's going on. So, thank you.
Yeah, it's all public information, so the public has a right to all that information, like you said. Especially the money from the federal government gives to the federal funds that's given to the Navajo Nation for the people.
Yep.
Yeah, the people have a right to know how much is there, how much is being spent, where it's being spent, what it's being spent on.
And this one here was paid for with federal funds. So what this means is that in the future, if we're given more federal funds, they're going to say, why should we give Navajo money because they don't spend their money properly? And anytime there's this type of misuse of government funds, it gives the risk that next time they give out money to Navajo, they're not going to get the money that they ask for, or two, they might be denied for it. So this puts the Navajo Nation at jeopardy when we start to look at receiving other funds in the future. So a lot of times in finance, they say that this needs to be cleaned up. You know, we can't have too many red flags in our audit, too many findings. Otherwise, it puts the nation at risk, saying that we don't spend our money appropriately. And that's what's been happening on Navajo all these years. That's why we struggle as a nation, is because of our poor finances.
Yeah, the people are frustrated within the Navajo Nation because they don't understand. They're the ones that can make the change.
Yep.
They just need to start exercising their rights under the Navajo Nation Bill of Rights. And I know there's more, like signing like is it here, a petition.
Yep.
And is there another source to where you can, try to?
One is that they can go to their chapters. They can request from their chapters that they audit the Navajo Nation funds, or even audit the president's funds, and request that at the chapter level. You know, they can also request from their chapter officials, you know, that they want an investigation. You know, put president on administrative leave, and they want the office of the vice president to be investigated for how they're spending the money. They can also ask their delegate, you know, that they want them to support this legislation because this is the people's money, you know, and request that transparency, you know, to our government. So your voice only matters when you use it, you know, and that's why in Navajo we say our voice is sacred. You know, we are the pure, we have the voice of Pichayatkin.
I think what I was trying to get to is the resolution, right?
Yep.
You can
chapter resolutions.
People need to start understanding how to, you know, writing resolutions, and once they get to know that, understand how to do that, you know, that I'm sure that'll come in.
Yeah, and they can request that a lot of times. Officials and chapters will help, you know, put together resolutions as well. But there's resources out there. There's a lot of good people out there that can draft chapter resolutions as well if they need the help.
I'm pretty sure once they teach these to the people, they can start understanding how to write out these resolutions or type them out
Yep.
on their own.
And it's the job of the leader in the communities to help express the voice of the community. So if you have concerns, let your community members know. Talk about it with the officials. So.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you giving us information and the reason why for this recall on. I've been watching the meetings in the chambers this past week and last week, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and it's a problem. It's the way they're using the federal funds and not using it for the right purposes. And so, all right, man. Appreciate you
All right.
giving us some information, and hopefully we can get this word out. All right, y'all. We're here in Shiprock. I'm back in Shiprock and the local flea market, and I'm trying to get a new leader in the Navajo Nation that will represent our people. Jay Bate, Albie, Crofty, Justin Garza, Tapatios, the hardcore casual, LD1 Kenobi, Central Florida Police Accountability, Opticon, Crofty, Road Hag, appreciate you guys all. Sam, Lady D, 49.
Getting many signatures?
Yeah, we have some good amount.
Alright, y'all, I'm ending my live here.
Do you want to sign?
Yeah.
I'm just here to help out my people. I'm out.
What was crazy at that time was the ones that were signing for